Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Sketchy Ideas, the live point counterpoint video podcast where we illustrate and debate concepts surrounding business development, personal development, leadership, movies, anything dealing with achievement and growth in a way that may make you think twice before you implement that brand new idea or concept you just saw on the interwebs. Hi, I am Brad James.
And I am Michael Rampolla.
And we are your hosts. And today we're going to dive into some things surrounding about whether or not your ideas will scale, especially if you are a small business. But before we do that, a word from our sponsors. Mr. Rampolla.
Thank you. Sketchy Ideas is powered by Spirity. Transform your business to scale. Very appropriate, and Spirity is very proud to be sponsoring today's episode of Sketchy Ideas called Will It Scale? Because your business model is your recipe for growth and scale. And whether or not your business model is set up for success is a question that not every business owner has thought to ask, and lots of business owners don't yet have the answer to. So if you're looking for an outside in and inside out assessment of whether you have foundation or growth or scale on your hands, Spirity is here to help. As a business owner, this is the intel you need to realize your dreams and transform your business for the next stage. Reach out to Spirity at spirity.com. Transform for growth. Back to you, Brad.
All right. And as always, growth always includes marketing and sales. So once you figure out how to scale, you're definitely going to need to figure out how that actually works in terms of translating it into active steps and process. If you're having trouble with that, that's why we work with Spirity, because now we help you implement some of those things, especially with my friends over at Cream City Marketing, where the goal is to eliminate the stress of any of that stuff so you can do what you're best at. All right? Do me a favor, hit my friend up, Erin, over at Cream City Marketing, at Erin at creamcitymarketing.com, and she's definitely going to help you out. All right, and with that, let's dive in, my friend. It's no longer summer camp. You're done with summer camp.
All right, everybody out of the pool.
That's right.
Today's question is will it scale? This today's episode was inspired by, if you've seen the infamous Blend Tech commercials, where, hey, this iPhone is great as a pocket PC, but will it blend? Silly Putty is fun at parties, but will it blend? What was some of the other ones? Oh, Crowbar. Crowbars are great for splitting wood and removing nails, but will it blend? The Blend Tech blender is infamous for blending just about anything, regardless of whether that thing is good at its job. The ultimate question is, will it blend? And I think that's a good framework for today. Whether or not you have a business and it's making money is one thing, but will that business scale is a totally different question. And that's what we're going to try to dive into today. Right, Brad?
That's right. So a lot of the conversations that you and I have often with clients happens to go about, hey, I've got this grand vision and I have this thing that I know works. Now I'm just trying to make sure that it can grow and make enough so I can live off of it. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right, right? The first thing is, will people buy it, right?
Right. Well, actually, the first thing is, does it actually work?
Does it work? Well, no, it doesn't matter if it works, if people will buy it, does it?
Sure.
Well, okay, throwback. I'm sure we did this some episode, right? We talked about selling it before you build it, right? Validating that there's a market.
Pre-orders are good. Pre-orders are good.
Pre-orders are good. So will people buy it? Then I'll figure out how to build it. So will people buy is number one. And then I think, is it we talked about proof of concept, right?
Yes.
Right. So proof of concept is that buy it and can I build it are in the same neighborhood, right? So I did a little 3-part here, and this comes from innovation thinking, design thinking. One of your important filters is feasible, viable, desirable. And this is before we get to business model. So one second, feasible, viable, desirable. Will people buy it? Is it desirable? Will people invest their money to have it? Feasible is, can we make it? Is it feasible to build this thing? viable is this thing something we can continue to make and make profit on? Or is it unprofitable to make? So feasible, desirable, viable. You have to hit all three. If you hit all three, you've got proof of concept. People are buying it.
Yes.
We can build it and we can continue to profit from it. There's POC, proof of concept, right there. Where do we go from there, Brad?
Well, so if you know you have a proof of concept, the challenge then is how do you determine the best way to get as many people to leverage your offer as possible? And how you can make it work.
To leverage your offer as possible. I like that. So that's maximizing something, right?
Yeah.
So take us through this. How do I do that? What are the ways that I can get as many people to buy my thing as possible? Besides, lemonade stand on a hot day. What are some effective techniques for achieving that outcome?
Well, it depends on what
Does it
you're
work the same way
selling.
every time?
No, it depends on what you're
There's
selling.
no one size fits all on this. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Talk us through it. How do I figure out that question?
Well, first you have to determine what your offer is. So going back to your circles, your Venn diagram, I believe is the correct term.
Right. Correct, sir. Yes.
You have to determine components in each of those things to actually figure out what makes the most sense.
Okay. So now I need to do my job as your foil today and say, how did you figure out that it is not a one size fits all? Well, we got to go back to the why of the story and how we got here, right? How did you figure out that one size fits all is not the only way to grow a business and that different approaches work better for different situations?
Being a closet serial entrepreneur who has acquired many businesses over the course of the last 14 years and started many businesses over the last 14 years, you figure out very quickly that the strategy that you use to sell a physical product online is not necessarily the same strategy that's going to work to sell things like consulting, where we come into companies and build out your entire sales process, which is also not the same thing where if we're coming in and customizing and building out a special event that you're running annually or once a year, or it's a brand new event, which is also not the same thing if we're trying to sell B2B manufacturing to other customers and businesses, which is also different than building out software that you're trying to sell to either consumers or businesses.
So apples.
I guess, I think,
oranges do not equal bananas, I guess.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways for those of you who are PETA fans, there are many ways to skin a cat, but I do not recommend trying any of them. Find the right one.
Okay. So all business models, all businesses are not created the same. There are some fundamentals of business. C also navigating the 4 C's. I still have to worry about revenue. So always have to worry about the product availability. I have to worry about customer loyalty. I have to worry about cash flow. But within there, or I don't know, however you position those two parts of your model, then things are different about how I'm going to actually optimize and scale and make these things as lucrative as possible for everybody. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now what? I don't know. So what do I do if I don't know if I have an orange or an apple or a banana or a kiwi on my hands?
You test it.
I test it. Not by putting it in a blender, I'm guessing.
No, you could, but yeah, you're just going to get a smoothie out of it, which may or may not be helpful to you or not. If you want to talk about smoothies, right? There are many things in the smoothie industry. If we're going to stick with this fruit theme and all this other stuff, all right, let's talk about smoothies.
All right, I'm in.
Let's talk about the blender. How do you sell blenders versus
by making
how do you set up a shop? How do you set up a shop to sell smoothies using that blender? And then how do you take and repeat that shop over and over and over again? And how do you sell insurance to that smoothie shop And how do you run a launch event, or say you want to have a big event where you bring in all the smoothie vendors of the world?
Okay, the answer, I don't know the answer to any of those questions. I hope, please enlighten me, because I wouldn't even know where to begin. I know how to buy a smoothie. Does that count? I know how to buy a smoothie.
Sure.
Is it? It's not a business model. That's a consumer model. So where do I begin, Brad, on smoothie sales / all the other things?
Well, I think if you're trying to just sell a smoothie, you can set up a lemonade stand.
Aha. Okay. Lemonade stand. Got it. And that's good for like basically 1X, right? I mean, that's if I have a lemonade stand, I'm selling lemonade. People want to buy lemonade. Pretty straightforward. What changes when I go from one to more than one?
Systems and processes.
All right, say more. Feel like
you're going to have to train somebody.
Counting.
You're going to have to figure out how you're going to manage the accounting. You're going to have to figure out supply chain. You're going to have to figure out where you're going to get customers. All of those things.
My lemonade stand needs a supply chain. Wow. I apparently I was doing it wrong as a kid. I had zero supply chain and no customer acquisition strategy.
Your supply chain was mom giving you the bag of lemon peels that you could turn into lemonade.
That's totally accurate. I think we used to use the powdered stuff. Mom, buy me the powder, or the little packet of Kool-Aid,
yeah.
and the bag of sugar.
It was your first investor.
Ah, I like it. I like where we're going with this. All right. I don't even have a lemon up here. Jeez, I got to add a lemon.
That's because we're confusing our viewers with lemonade stands and smoothie stands.
Lemonade stand, smoothie stand. There, that's a decent kind of line. Since I'm using one color. All right, so I got my lemonade stand. Materials, supply chain. That's a lot of stuff to think about. That's a whole lot more than just me on a corner with with some cups and a pitcher.
It can be, yeah. Robots.
Wait, did you say robots? Now we got I can't drink. What happened? I had fruit. I had fruit in a lemonade stand. Now I got a supply chain with robots. Okay, robots.
So I think the thing is that you and I were talking about how proof of concept is not necessarily a proof of model. Okay.
Yeah, I see that. These are I'm on a totally different page right now. I mean, I was like proof of concept, cool. But you're like, there's a whole lot of other stuff to think about, which
but if you're just so I think
not there. That's good.
The thing to understand is a lot of small businesses have a proof of concept, but they don't necessarily understand how to scale that. So when you're talking about proof of model takes proof of concept if you're defining it the way that you're defining it, with feasible, valuable, and what's the other one?
Desirable. Will people buy
so there's a motivating factor behind somebody who wants to buy it because it solves a problem based on one of the motivating factors. Then you have to figure out how to add more time in the day. Otherwise, you're just going to be spending 24 hours a day selling what you're doing and making it and doing it all yourself.
Okay. I'm seeing why there's a gap between concept and model, right? Me and my lemonade stand is not lemonade stands, let alone an entire smoothie operation. That's why when you start saying materials and supply chain and all these other things, I'm like, well, that is way above what I had in mind, which I think that is the point. The point is in my lemonade stand world or a smoothie world, right? I'm going to get quickly overwhelmed by proof of model if I try to do this organically or without a plan. Would you say that's true?
Sure. I mean, even that though, it's not, you have to take, this is where the process stuff comes into play that we've been talking about. So you can't scale anything you're doing unless you have process.
So will it scale? Question number one, do you have systems and processes?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
Right.
But I don't even think that that's the first checkpoint. I think it's...
Okay, back me up. What's my first checkpoint?
I think you're seeing if it's actually desirable outside of the area that you're selling it to. So when I talk about proof of model, you're talking about scaling the sales and marketing aspect of it first before anything else. So just because you're selling it in one location doesn't mean it's going to sell in another location. And this is where I think a lot of small business owners get stuck.
Yeah, I've seen that too. So an important question about scalability is, can I increase the size of my market? Because at some point, if I'm only having this big of a market, I can't scale beyond them because I've already sold everybody the thing. If I've already sold lemonade to everybody on my street, but I'm only selling to my street, it's like I'm done. I can't scale that because there's no new customers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So an important question about will it scale is, do I have, do I have access to, can I identify, how do I figure out the market part? How do I figure out do I have another market?
You test it. I mean, this is where proof of concept says that the thing works. It's to me, the desirability thing isn't really even a selling question. The desirability is, does it solve a problem? Which I think is where you and I are a little different in terms of how we approach this process a little bit, which is totally fine.
Yeah. So your question, is it desirable as will it solve a problem? I.e., would somebody be buying it? Does it help somebody do something else?
Which
achieve one of their goals?
Yeah, those are two totally different things, because you can solve a problem, but nobody's willing to pay for it. So I don't even think it has to do with desirability. It has to do with, does it solve a problem?
Interesting.
Because you can have a proof of concept that solves a problem, but people are unwilling to pay for it, which is what we see a lot if you're talking about, especially when you're talking about green problems, right? In the 80s and 90s, those were not things that were quote unquote desirable based on the definition you're laying out, but they did solve problems. So the process, the proof of concept works, right? So when you're talking about proof of concept, especially in science, right? If we're talking about scientists, you say, hey, I funded it. I figured out how to grow this one cool plant. This plant will create twice as much oxygen or twice as many lemons as the other tree, but nobody's willing to pay for it. So that's what I mean. So
got it.
Great, it works, but nobody really wants to pay for it.
Yeah,
that's where you get into, okay, now you have to test that, and now you have to look at it and go, great, is there an active market for this? Yes. So this is where
I think you're right. In a way, my version of desirability was like the naive lemonades, one lemonade stand version, right? Would people buy a cup of lemonade from me for 25 cents? Sure, because you're a cute kid and you're my neighbor. That's not, is it solving a need, right? That's not customer need in a market, right? That's my naive understanding. Yeah, sure. People, all my friends have bought it. My family thinks it's awesome.
Right.
Yeah,
so this is then where like this guy, Eric Ries, is all about the lean model to test and iterate, test and iterate, test and iterate. The thing is Eric Ries doesn't ever talk about scaling it. He talks about engineering, design, building the best proof of concept so that you can actually go out and sell and scale, which is the part of the book that he doesn't talk about in the Lean Startup. Okay.
Makes sense.
So when I start thinking about proof of model, now you're going, great, I know how to sell it, which is different than proof of concept. The concept works, it solves a problem. The next step is, can I sell it to one person? Yes.
Yes. My mom bought my first, she was also my supply chain. So now we're giving mom a lot of.
That's right. That's her dividend.
There you go. Nice.
But when you start getting into the point where, great, I can sell it to one person, now you have to test to see how you can scale the sales of it to figure out exactly how you can grow the revenue of it.
Scale the sales to grow the revenue. That makes sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's where you're trying to figure out the proof of model, because the proof of model then means, hey, this is a system of selling this and growing the feasibility or the fulfillment of this concept on the back end. That's where the model comes in. So if you're talking proof of model purely in terms of revenue, which I think is what we're talking about here, then I think that that's the important part to look at. And I know you and I have talked about some different things in terms of navigating what that looks like. And there are some canned things that small business owners should look at. It's called proof of model for a reason. Proof of model means there's another similar model out there that you can emulate in order to grow your business.
There's another similar model out there that you can emulate to grow your business. I like that. That follows the you're not the first person to try to solve this problem principle, right?
Yeah, there are very few, quote unquote, brand new novel business models out there in the world today.
Right.
Until we start selling to our personal AI, then that might be a whole different model.
Who might have a different
right now, we're
desirable
still selling
ability scale.
Yeah. Right now, we're selling human to human 98% of the time. Even if you don't think you're selling to humans, a human is making the decision to click buy.
It's true.
Or sign off on the quote in the agreement.
Right. Or set up the algorithm that makes the purchase automatic. There was still a human on the decision-making side.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
So
I know
our desirability is human problems that we're trying to solve. Ultimately.
Correct. Which are the three motivators: health, wealth, and relationships. The three main motivators in the world, right? Health, wealth, and relationships.
Brian, add to the show notes our episode on health and motivators, because I know we did that in avatars, right?
Yes, we did.
Motivators. So health. So what is I'm thirsty on a hot summer? That would be health.
Health, probably.
Probably health.
Yes.
Probably health.
If you saw a lemonade stand out in the middle of desert after trekking through one day with one bottle of water, you'd be like, yes, that's what I want.
Please.
Oasis lemonade stand.
And again, cute neighbor kid, that would be relationships, right? So there's, one way or another, hopefully there's my lemonade sales.
There's always a primary motivator. Typically there are secondary and tertiary motivators that go along with it, but you can always key in on one when selling. So you had talked about some different definitions or some different models that people can talk about, and we're not going to get into them terribly deep today, but I do know we are planning a time to do it at our Sketchy Soirée.
Sketchy Soirée. Proof of models. Yeah, I think it's important to know, like Brad said, so we were having fun with our fruits up here, right? Fun with fruits. But each of those could represent a different model. And Brad made a huge point, which is proof of concept is not proof of model. And I believe like the gap between, I would say, maybe there's a debate. Which is a wider gap, from idea to proof of concept, or from proof of concept to proof of model? Right? Those are two big gaps in business. Yeah. Either way. Debatable relative size of each.
And the thing is don't look at it as like, it's two sides, right? So you could have POC here and proof of model over here. If this is a timeline, you might figure the proof of model out first before you solidify the proof of concept.
Absolutely. You know what? That's right. I was thinking this as a progression, but you're right. Since proof of model, it's a really good insight. Since proof of model, we said there's a standard set of models, you're probably going to follow one of them, then that is probably, you could absolutely, so these are the three elements, but they might not be in sequence. You could find the model and drop a new concept into it. Or you could find the model and then spark a new idea the other way around.
Right. So prime example of this. with the sales consulting, the sales systems consulting we do with like small and mid-sized businesses, we knew there was a problem that they didn't have a system in place to do it. We knew a problem, right?
Right.
And I knew the model. The model had to deal with me going out, building relationships, creating sales through similar to the way that one of your models will fall into. But we didn't have a proof of concept at the time. Whereas with something else like with BPOD, we had a proof of concept and we had to develop the proof of model afterwards.
There you go.
So we knew that the BPOD worked in supporting bee health or colony health year after year after year. And we had some customers who wanted it, but we didn't have a model in place to get it in front of those customers. So that's where the two sides make sense.
Yes. Yeah, it does, because you could have, right. So there's different elements here, and you're going to check some of the boxes, and hopefully by the gaps that you haven't checked, you can figure out, okay, how do I triangulate and reverse engineer in to fill in the parts of this I haven't figured out yet? Which of my POC elements are missing, which part of my model's missing, and how do I then use what I have to figure out what I don't have and build it, or again, find somebody who did it before me, i.e. Google it, and just, fill in, right? That's here. Sidebar. The reason Google works, not the business model, but the reason Google, the functional tool works, is because somebody else has had your problem before and tried to solve it before, maybe with or without success, right? But if you believe that what you're doing is totally new and novel, just try Googling the terms for it and see if you can get a Google bang, which is a thing, which is this combination of words has never existed before on the internet. It's near impossible to pull off a Google bang because the problem or the concept you're working on has probably already been thought about and shared.
Yeah, or the problem has been solved.
That's a good thing in general, because if you've got a market, somebody else has already told you how to design, develop, deliver the thing into the market. So it's the uniqueness of your thing, your business, your model, your product, your service is not typically in its concept or in its model, right? It's in the combination of the market to the model to the concept to the idea to you and your relationships and how you pull all those things together to create the thing and the people and the buying of it. It's the combination that typically is the unique thing, not the elements. Right? Periodic table of the elements has been defined the way it is for how long? Right? We're discovering new elements, but the elements on the table itself are either existing or predicted. You're not going to create a new element. You might create a new compound, but the elements have been predefined.
So an example that's pretty current in the world today that I like to point people to, if they're going to the grocery store.
Okay.
How many different forms of nut butter are on the shelf now comparatively to what there was back in the 80s?
So true. You had creamy and sometimes chunky, and that's about it.
And now you have almond, pistachio, cookie butter, right? It doesn't matter, right?
Low this or that.
And for those of you curious about trying them all, typically on Wednesdays, I do Waffle Wednesday in the morning and share it to my Instagram. So if you want to see the different combinations of things.
Waffle Wednesday with today's selected nut butter. Ooh.
Yep. I try new things every month or every Wednesday.
Go. Every Wednesday. So there you go, folks. There's no such thing as a new nut butter. Let that
there isn't.
be a lesson to you. Okay. So I like also that so we've made a point, at least maybe one, maybe two if we're lucky, right? The idea is not the concept, is not the model, and you do need all three to produce global, scalable businesses that generate income.
Yes.
If you're missing part of it, you can probably find the missing part once you identify which of these elements you have and which ones you're missing, because somebody has gone before and we stand on the shoulders of giants. So just figure out whose shoulders you need to
the same thing also is true for fulfillment. Okay.
True.
So this is where
good. Yeah.
We're talking a lot about the marketing and sales aspect of it, but in terms of fulfillment, there's always a model of fulfillment out there. It's a matter of identifying which one. So when you're talking about these things, again, this is why this is a great book to read. It works great if you're trying to figure out and refine design and concepts that you want to sell. But when it comes to selling and iterating on the model, that's a different thing, as well as iterating on how to actually fulfill it at scale is a different part. So if you're looking at these things each in silos, that's the wrong thing to do. You have to look at it from a standpoint of they can happen at different points in time, right? With that, hey, why don't you walk down and give people just a rundown of the different models that you at Spirity have identified that we will be talking about at our soiree.
So a little teaser here, and then we'll hit the wrap. So here's some of the models, right? See if you can figure out the organizing principles here in no particular order. We've got the franchise model. We have e-commerce. We have retail/restaurant, not to be confused with catering, different model. We have the real estate/insurance model. We also have the dentist model, not the same as the law firm model. And I also have the SaaS and software model, and I think we've got, and the manufacturing model. Those are the ones that I have identified on the short list. Are there others? Maybe. You'll have to come and find out. Which one are you running and which one is the best for your business? That's what we're going to help you figure out at the soiree. Because once you have these other elements, figuring out which model is the one that's going to enable you to grow and scale, that's your access. That's your access to bigger, better, and not trading your time for money anymore, which is a conversation for another day probably too. And the consulting model is in there, but serves other models too. So it's not a straight up. I think that's that good tease for today.
That is a good tease.
Yes. That was a pretty good tease.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I think that's right.
So realistically, if you're running a small business, odds are you probably can fit in one of these 9 or some sort. And if you're smart, it's one of these. And if you're running a hybrid, you're probably running too many models for a small business, at least at this moment in time. But I totally understand and I get you, because that's how you test and you hypothesize and figure out which one is right.
Also true. One of the others going to be more X? Whichever one is more X,
more effective,
more of that.
More efficient,
more effective, more
better
efficient,
quality.
More...
Yep.
Yeah. You got it.
All those
you got
things.
It. So, folks, we're going to put a wrap today on proof of concept. Will it scale? Gosh, I really do feel like we need to throw something. I'm glad we went smoothies with the blender. I'm proud of us for pulling the metaphor together.
I totally forgot my smoothie. I had a smoothie ready to go, but I was rushing to get to the office, and I left it at home. I literally left it on the counter. Not even joking.
That's all right. So it goes. All right, folks, let's put a wrap. Thank you, Brad. That was a ton of fun. And also, I'm going to do a little shout out here. One of my favorite podcasts is it's called Hidden Brain, and the host of that, Shankar Vedantam, always does a little unsung heroes tag at the end of his episode, and he always tries to recognize one of the people that makes the show happen that you wouldn't otherwise know about or hear about. Now, we've got Brian Omeg, who is our producer and has been our producer for all 50, what are we on now? 52 episodes of our show. Brian is moving on to a new career, and so we want to wish Brian well. I don't think Brian's an unsung hero because we do call out the voice of God at least once a show. And Brian has made this show happen. Every aspect of the production, the reason Brad and Michael look so darn good on this show has very little to do with us, as you know, and a whole lot more to do with our producer. So, Brian, thank you for producing this show and getting us to where are we at, Brad? Did we hit 16 for a streak? Do we get to take our...
We will if we make it through this one.
All right. Brian,
don't start crying all over the equipment.
16. For a 16 episode streak with no tech issues, I think that says a lot about Brian and his skills and what he's done for this show. So, Brian, thank you for producing us, and we wish you the best of luck in your next endeavors. So, and you did manage to get all the way through this thing without showing your face, I think, but for less than a minute. So congratulations That's the mark
I
of a
think
great
you
producer.
should show your face because it's
I think
you
that's
know,
the mark of a good.
it would just
Also,
be.
that we'll make sure his mug gets out there because it's a whole lot more attractive than these two. So, Brian, again, thank you on behalf of us. We appreciate everything you've done for us. Brad, you want to take us to a close and sign us out?
Sure. With that, friends, if you liked this episode, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you didn't like it, take a screen capture, share it with a friend, tell us what we were good at, tell us what we were bad at, drop it in the comments. You can email us at info@sketchyideashow.com and somebody will get back to you. Not sure who that is yet, but it will probably be me or somebody else from our team. At the same point in time, if you have comments, if you want to see other things, let us know, tag us, we'll tag you back. We've got some guests coming on. And again, we have a great event coming up in about a month or so, the Sketchy Soirée, where we're going to go through some significant things, especially for all of you small business owners right now, trying to figure out some of this stuff. So if you want to go there, stay tuned for a link for the registration. And when it's out, we're going to let all of you know. All right. We look forward to seeing you next week at 1:30, where we dive into even more sketchy ideas, especially for small business owners trying to figure out how to grow. And until then, we'll see you next time. And just remember, just because it's a sketchy idea doesn't mean it's not worth exploring. See you next week.